In this episode of Rogue Agent Radio, we make our predictions for the Division Beta, answer some questions about loot streams and skills, then the AK47 wraps it all up with the gun review. Also, be sure to keep an eye out on the official Twitter page for Rogue Agent Radio for details on an upcoming beta code giveaway. So sit back, strap in, and prepare to enter the Dark Zone.
Rogue protocol initiated.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Rogue Agent Radio, Episode 9, a place for all things Tom Clancy's The Division. I'm one of your hosts, Boomslang. Joining me is the rock star of gaming, Blessed Doom. How's it going, dude?
Pretty good, man. I'm been doing a little bit of PvP today and a little bit of Fallout, and ready to talk about some Division.
PvP into Destiny, is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah. I've been grinding out some Iron Banner. You know, I've been on this mission to improve my PvP game because I'm pretty good at raiding. I'm pretty good at PvE stuff.
Right.
But I haven't really been the greatest at PvP. You know, I mean, yeah, I've went flawless in trials a few times, but that was with help. I've never gotten past rank 3 in Iron Banner until this week. And I really just tried to make an effort to get better and improve. And I actually hit rank 5 with Iron Banner for the first time ever yesterday.
Awesome, dude. That's great. Did you get anything good from the packages?
Not really. I got yeah. Well, I did. I got a class item that was higher than the other class items that I had. I mean,
if it's higher than the other one, that's good. So
yeah, and I got a couple of ghost shells and stuff. I did get a hand cannon drop that was pretty decent. Not super high light level, but
I think I was there for that.
Oh yeah.
I saw that one. I was kind of jelly. I was like, dang it.
Yeah,
they're all getting the drops, and I'm getting nothing.
I do really like that hand cannon.
I haven't really used hand cannons a whole lot in this post-patch world, post-Taken King world. The only times I have used it, I did crap with them, so that's kind of why I stopped. But yeah.
Yeah, I've never been able to use them in PvP, but I do like them for PvE.
Yeah.
So,
in case anybody was wondering, Dave is not with us this week. He had some things that he had to do, so me and Justin are going to do doubles this week and see what we can get out of our brains talking about beta and all that kind of good stuff. But
I'll have to try to fill our deep voice quota.
I know. I listened to it and I'm like, yeah, our audio sounds good. And then Dave comes in. It's like, whoa.
I know, man. I thought I had a deep voice until I started talking to Dave. It's like, man.
Yeah. I remember when my wife first listened to it, she's like, whoa, that's Dave. Like, wow, his voice is really deep. I was like, yeah, it's really deep. It's kind of interesting. But I've been playing Star Wars Battlefront a lot, and it's fun. Here's the thing. When I first played the beta, I did really, really good in the beta, and something has changed since the beta to now, and I can't do as good as I used to in third person. I played the whole beta in third person and was wrecking people. Now, the first 2 days, or maybe it was like the first day and a half that I played it, I was still doing relatively good in third person. I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to jump right back into it. No big deal, Kill death ratio was like 2.6 or whatever. And then I don't know what happened. It's like I hit a friggin' brick wall and I could not kill anybody. I died over and over and over and over. I don't really normally get that frustrated with video games, but I was tempted to just, after one round, to get up, pull it out of the console, take it straight to GameStop, and trade it in. That's how frustrated I was with it. I was like, good Lord, what is happening to me?
Just in third person?
Yeah, just in third person. So my kill death ratio went from 2.6 to 1.79.
Wow.
In, like a day. And
what do you think? What do you think changed?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think I tried to play here. My theory is I think I was trying to play too fast, like I was in the beta, and I think the reason I could play like that in the beta and the first few hours of the main game is because nobody really knew what they were doing. They were just kind of running around, whatever. So it was easy to kill people because they were running out in the open. Couldn't catch. You're catching them off guard and all that. And I think once they finally figured out what was going on, I couldn't do that anymore, so I had to adjust. So today and a little bit of yesterday, I switched to first person and started playing more strategically, kind of like I play Battlefield, checking corners and everything. Yeah. And I'm back to where I was before. I go 45 and 10, 30 and 8, something like that. Like my average was in the beta. So I think that's kind of how it is. It's interesting because it's different than a normal first-person shooter because the blasters, you kind of have to lead them. When you see someone running, you have to lead them a lot more than you think you would in another game. So it changes it up a little bit. But it's a lot of fun. All the modes are really cool. It's Star Wars. I mean, if you like Star Wars, then you're going to love it because the sounds are awesome. The environment is incredible. Like if you play on indoor, which is like the lush forest type thing, if there wasn't a radar like Destiny's where you can detect people when you're close, you could literally go and sit in the woods and never be found because it's so lush. It's like a real forest. It's like, this is amazing. I mean, it looks crazy good.
Technically, it's the Forest Moon of Endor.
Forest Moon of Endor, sorry. Get my lore right.
Got to pull out my Star Wars geek there. But that's the stuff that's really making me want to play it, just because of the looks, the graphics and the sounds and everything.
Yeah.
But I have heard that they're working on, or that another team is working on a campaign. I don't know if it's using that same engine and everything. But
I'm sure it will. I mean, if it's DICE, they're going to be using the Frostbite, if that's what it's running. I'm pretty sure it's Frostbite 3 that it's running on.
Yeah.
So it'll look the same, if not better.
Yeah,
that's a lot of fun. It's fun to play with friends. So.
Yeah, what I really want is another Knights of the Old Republic, but that's not ever going to happen. So
yeah, I never got into those games.
Yeah, that was kind of the predecessor to Mass Effect.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it was because Mass Effect 1, if you play it, it's very Knights of the Old Republic-ish. But I really want a good, PvE, even if it's co-op PvE campaign with all that Star Wars stuff, because I'm super excited about Star Wars.
Yeah, the thing about it is I think they have a future with these games. I think they're going to start making a lot of Star Wars games, and the world is so huge they can keep adding to it for years and years and years. I've already heard rumors of them making Clone Wars DLC for this game. So, because I mean, there's not supers, but heroes that you can play as, like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia, and all that. But there's no Yoda, there's no Obi-Wan, there's no all of these other guys. And so they're coming.
This is just the original trilogy, right? There's no episode 1, 2, or 3 involved in this game at all, right?
I think so. I'm not, all up to date on my Star Wars lore and everything, but I think it is, Okay. But I'm not positive.
Because I've heard that whenever The Force Awakens comes out, that there is the first DLC is going to be a planet from that, I guess, that is featured in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, is that Jakku?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the DLC that is coming. It's Battle of Jakku. So I'm interested about that. Yeah. DICE does a really good job with all their DLCs. Everybody kind of has a bad taste in their mouth because of the Battlefield 4 launch. But you got to cut them a little bit of slack. It was new consoles that they were working on and everything, and they fixed it. It works perfectly now. I mean, you can't play much of a better PvP, multiplayer out there right now on a large scale. I don't think there's any that's a large scale that is better than Battlefield 4.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about the online being broken or anything at all. Like nobody's been complaining about it the way a lot of online games.
Oh yeah.
you've heard about, in the recent years.
Yeah, I have had no issues with Star Wars Battlefront in connecting online, staying connected. They've fixed all their issues, but the thing is, you don't hear about that. You hear about
Yeah.
when everything goes wrong. So, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
danged if you do, danged if you don't. So,
Pretty much.
but it's yeah, it's a lot of fun. We can, yeah, it's cool. In case you didn't know, Rogue Agent Radio is your base of operations for the Division news, information, game discussions, and agent trust issues. You can find us on iTunes by searching Rogue Agent Radio, where the show is posted every Monday morning. Subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends, all that good stuff. Also, check us out on our official website, RogueAgentRadio.com, where you can find all the links to our podcasting wares and social media hubs such as Twitter and Facebook. You know the drill. So, let's go ahead with some listener mail. Just to remind everyone, you can send in your listener mail and be part of the show to rogueagentradio@gmail.com. Try to keep them short and sweet, and we will put them on the show. First question is from Bossolini27. He says, "What's up, fellas? So,
Not much.
I've got a question and a theory of sorts to share with you guys. The question is for Boomslang. In your experience at E3, was the loot plentiful, or was the loot pretty... Can't talk tonight. I'm done. Episode over. I'm going. Okay. In your experience at E3, was the loot pretty plentiful in the Dark Zone? My worry is that if loot is on an individual basis and is fairly hard to come by, you could end up spending hours in the Dark Zone with a fire team of 4 and never end up getting anything unless you choose to go rogue. I kind of think it may be better if loot dropped by enemies were individual, but when you find a crate like they showed in E3 demo, then those are shared amongst the fire team. Anyways, love the podcast and thanks for being my Division outlet while I try to patiently wait to get my hands on it. Have a good one, guys. Ben Bossolini27, Xbox One." Good question, Ben. If anyone's curious about what he's asking about, there's two definitions. There's individual or personal loot streams and then public loot streams. Now, if you've played Borderlands, that's a perfect example of a public loot stream, and it can be pretty frustrating. You shoot a boss, all these guns fall down, and then everyone's running around trying to grab them as fast as possible, and you may get a good gun, you may not get a good gun. Your friend may get a better gun than you. Now, another game on the flip side of that is Destiny. Everything is a personal loot stream. Whatever you see drop, that is yours. That's why if Doom shoots a guy, it drops a legendary engram. I can't see that engram. That is his engram forever. I can never see it. I can never touch it. All I can do is pretend like I can see it. That's all there is to it. So the Division is different. It has both. Now, the demo at E3 isn't really a good thing to compare what the loot streams are going to be like. I'm sure they might be similar, but basically how it functions in this game is in the world, in the open world where you explore with you and 3 of your friends. That is all individual loot stream. So if you shoot someone, he drops loot, that's yours to keep. Now, when you go into the Dark Zone, all of that changes. Everything is a public loot stream. And if I shoot Doom, decide to kill him, I can take whatever he's dropped in the Dark Zone. If I shoot a Riker or a Cleaner and he drops some loot, I can see that loot and Doom can see that loot. And it's just whoever grabs it first who gets to keep it. So I don't know what the drop rates are going to be like. I don't know how plentiful it's going to be. I'm not sure if even depending on the chests that you find, if it's going to be loot for everybody. The thing is, it's going to make it interesting because the loot might not necessarily be what you want, Like, say, Doom, you're playing a tank, and I'm playing more as a scout type person. Well, I go and I get the chest, and it's a shotgun. Well, I'm a scout. I don't need a shotgun. So I could trade that to you for something. Or, you find something and whatever. What's your take on this? How do you feel about having an open loot stream in the Dark Zone?
Well, I don't know. Well, one of my first question is, the drops that you get from killing enemies, does that have to be extracted also?
I think so. I think
So
just anything you drop. I think everything that
everything you
drops.
get.
Yeah,
Okay. So you can't just go in and kill some guys and then jump back out. Every single piece of gear that you get has to be extracted.
I'm pretty positive. Yeah.
I'm, you know, I'm kind of cool with that. I never had a lot of problems in Borderlands with distributing the gear
Right.
between the team because if you're playing with people that everybody's going to be cool. Oh, I just got something cool. Well, here you go. Oh, hey, I got something that's going to work good for you. Whenever you find something that works good for me, and just I think that's not a terrible idea
Yeah.
as long as as long as you're getting good gear drops from the enemies and then the stuff that you find. Are we still finding gear from the cases? Is that something that's still going to be in it, or is that changed?
That is supposedly still in it. There's no details exactly on how that's going to work. There's going to be particular areas in the dark zone that's going to have different tiers of loot, basically because they're going to be more difficult, and it's like a whole nother world inside of it. So
as long as you're getting gear regularly enough, like if you're in the dark zone for hours and you're not getting any good gear, then that's unacceptable. But
right.
I don't need something just completely epic, every half hour or something. I want to have to work for my gear, but
right.
As long as it's got a decent drop rate and you're getting things that are useful to you. I think having it public like that is fairly, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So
I am too.
I do like the idea of having to extract everything that you get though. So you
Right.
don't necessarily have to go in and grind for cases. You can just go in and fight, PvE enemies and maybe get some good stuff.
Right. It keeps it interesting. It's different. You want it to be different. You want there to be a little bit of a risk going in there. You don't want it to be the same as being outside. When you could do everything outside of the dark zone that you wanted to, but there might be just a little bit better things on the inside. You don't know.
Yeah.
So
I do like that it's you can kind of play it in those two different ways. You can
right.
stay out and you can do all that other stuff and probably have a great time, but if you want to play a little bit different style, jump in the dark zone and
Yeah.
do all that stuff. What makes me not really worried about the public loot is things like Borderlands. Of course, there's always jerks that are going to want to go and grab everything for themselves. But also, but most of the time people are cool if it's somebody that that you're playing with. Now, if you go and LFG up a team, well, that's enter at your own risk.
Yeah. Same thing with any LFG. You're taking that upon yourself.
But also something like Diablo 3, where if I remember right, it is an individual loot system where everything you get, you can only see. But anytime that I've played with anybody, anytime they pick up something that might be better for my character, they're like, "Hey, man, I just got this epic drop. I can't use it. Do you want it?" Where they could go and sell it, or they could go do whatever. And I did the same thing. So, people. It makes sense to strengthen the team that you have by distributing that gear in a way that is going to actually strengthen your team. So
exactly.
I do like it. As long as it's all balanced out right, the drop rate's good. You get pretty quality gear on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Question number 2. Hello. From the Q&A video and the subsequent analysis that Marco did, we gleaned that the 12 skills listed are indeed the max as of this pre-beta moment in time. My question deals with talents and perks. We saw them on the top right of the abilities tab and was curious as to what you might think would be applicable talents and perks. Also, if there are more abilities that will release after the beta, that would you think they'd be? After the beta, what would you think they'd be? Sorry, I made your grammar sound terrible. That was my fault. Love the podcast and love the work you guys are doing. Keep it up. Rachel S. sent from my iPhone.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, that's a good question. We were discussing this a little bit before we started recording, and Doom, you had a good a good thought on this. Why don't you go ahead and throw that out there?
Well, the having the 3 different tabs, the skills, talents and perks tab kind of makes me think about Fallout, specifically Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Fallout 4 has kind of changed it up a little. They've changed their perk tree up a little differently, but in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, you had your it was called special, strength, endurance, intelligence, blah blah blah, all that stuff. That was your base stats. That they stayed fairly low, between 1 to 10 or whatever, and however you spaced them out, that kind of determined what path you were taking. But then you also had, and I can't remember exactly what it was called. I think it was skills. So in a separate category, you had skills, and it was a 1 to 100 scale on a ton of different skills.
Right.
Lock picking, pickpocketing, heavy weapons, small weapons, hacking, sneaking, a ton of different stuff. And the more, every time you leveled up, you'd get like maybe 13 points that you could distribute between those however you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And certain things would only unlock or be available to you to do after you got one to a certain number, usually like 25, 50, 75, and then
Right.
100 if you maxed it out. So,
So you're thinking this is like the RPG skills tree kind of, or talents tree, kind of like you would find in a Skyrim or a Fallout or games like that.
I think it might let you kind of tweak your skills a little bit, maybe gear you more towards a certain area, maybe.
Right, certain role. I think
Yeah.
you're on the right track because, excuse me, in one of the videos, the latest one that we got actually, in the bottom left-hand side of the video, if you look and see, it says 4 talents unassigned. So you might be onto something right there, where that might be where the player is going to fine-tune their particular role and how they want to play. As to what exactly they're going to be, I'm not sure. Perks, probably the same thing. It's hard to say. Really.
So in Fallout, they also had perks. Perks were that weird twist. It would give you some strange ability or something different that would really. It was a more noticeable change to your play style,
right?
And had a real effect. And depending on which one you picked, you'd really have to sit and think about it. So maybe that's something that really, really will twist your play style a little bit, and you could find some really crazy wrinkles in your Fallout play style by choosing different perks.
Right.
I don't know. I'm really interested to see how that's going to go, and because with this being a full-on RPG, they're really going to have to let you mold your play style and all that stuff. So
yeah, I'm gonna say that's where all those things are hiding. Hopefully we'll get to see more of that stuff in the beta, which happens to be our top topic of the week: beta expectations. This week is going to be interesting because this is more of predictions, expectations, hopes, dreams, desires, wishes, all those, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it. Before we get started, we have a question from Frozen Sticker. He says, "Hey, Rogue Agent Radio, Matt Spesh here. Do you guys think that YouTubers will be able to record in the beta? That's all. Thanks, Matt. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't see why they wouldn't be handing out thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of beta codes and expect people not to record.
It's free publicity. It's
right.
Free advertisement.
Yeah. I don't expect them to restrict it at all. So, because I'm going to be recording it, and if they don't like it, then they can just remove my videos or whatever.
They're not going to put anything into that beta that they don't want the world to see yet.
Right.
They've been so tight with their information so far that they know, they have a specific timeline for information that they want released. I'm willing to bet.
Yeah.
So they're not going to put anything in there that they're not. Yeah, and like you said, they're giving out a ton of beta keys. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's not going to be anything in there that I don't think they're going to be cool with people, YouTubing.
Yeah, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Stream it, record it, make videos on it, all that stuff. So we had some questions compiled by our very own Deep Fried Dave, and we're going to go over them, one by one, and kind of just give our analysis and our thoughts on it. First off, for question number 1, what should the beta accomplish for Massive and me as a consumer? First off, betas are for testing. They are not demos for people to experience the game. Let everyone understand what a beta is. It's a pre-product, basically. It's an unfinished product.
It's a stress test.
Yeah.
They can gain more information in one day of open beta testing than they can get in, wow, how long have they been developing the game?
5 years, 6 years.
I mean, in one day of beta testing, they can get so much information. I mean, so that's, and exactly what you said. A beta is not a demo.
Right. So for them as a company, exactly what you said. It's a stress test, figure out what they can do, find some bugs, find some connection errors, figure out how many people are going to be in the dark zone, because that's what they said they're waiting on to really nail down that number, because they want it to function properly when you play it. You don't want there to be too many people, you don't want there to be too few people, you want the connections to stay solid the whole time, because it's a totally online game. And what that's going to entail for us as the consumer, like what it's going to be like, how they're going to be able to tweak the world always as it's always online, we don't really know. Destiny's kind of the same way. They can add these events into the world, with a little patch here and change things up. So expect the same thing from the Division. There's, things are going to change in the world, whether it's dynamic and they don't have to, patch it out or whatever. We don't know exactly. As the consumer, you're going to get to play it. You're going to get to experience this game and see what it's like. And you don't even have to buy it. You can go out and pre-order it from Amazon, get your beta code, whatever.
Yeah, really, this whole thing is all for Massive and for Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
It is cool for us to get to play it, but it's good advertisement for them if it's good, and it's also helps them test and make the game better for when it actually launches.
Exactly.
So,
question number 2: how will they handle character progression, levels, skills, and talents? I think it's going to be similar to what Destiny was. You're going to level up so far. Get to kind of get a taste of it. That's all it is. You're going to get a taste of it. You're going to get a couple skills, a couple talents, whatever those are.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to get enough experience with it to be like, ooh, this is cool. They've got something going here. I want more. That, or at least that's probably what they're going to be hoping for. So don't expect your character to progress into the full game. That never happens.
No, they'll level cap it. Yeah, they'll level cap it at like 5 or 6, just like Destiny did.
Yeah, and then they might extend it for a day or whatever, and then bump the level up and let you try out a new skill or ability or something like that.
Open up a new area of the map, maybe.
Yeah. Question number 3: how do you expect they will handle playable space? Which is exactly what you're saying with opening up an area. You go first.
Okay. Well, my feeling is it's probably mostly going to be Dark Zone stuff, because I think that's really what they really need to test.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to, if it's not going to be like Destiny, and the outside of the Dark Zone is not a shared world,
right?
And then that's not quite as important as testing the Dark Zone, where they're going to have a ton of people in there,
right?
Yeah.
Same goes for the social zone. Now, a lot of people, when I say that, they're like, what? Wait, what? Social zone? What are you talking about? There is a social zone in this game that they haven't really talked about. Hopefully it's still in the game, They haven't, like they said, they haven't talked about it, but they have said social zone. It's a place where you can go and meet up with all the other players in the world, walk around as friendly agents, not shoot each other, buy stuff, trade stuff, meet up with people, all this other bull crap. And that's another place that they're going to need a stress test, exactly like the Dark Zone, if not more.
Yeah.
because there's probably going to be more people in that area in a
Right.
confined space, a smaller space. So,
Yeah, they got to see if they get frame rate droppage or any of
right.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely they're going to test the dark zone. They're going to test the social zone. And for question number 4, what is the right amount of PvE content they provide? That plays
Um,
into number 3.
yeah,
So,
I think it should just be a small little arc. I mean, again, we keep going back to Destiny, but I think their beta was handled so well
I think so
that
too.
you got a few beginning um, story missions.
Yeah.
You didn't get the entire story. You just barely started to get into it.
That wizard came from the moon.
Exactly. But that Riker came from that garbage truck. uh, but you get just a little bit. They kind of let you into the story just slightly, and right as you start wanting things to open up more, that's where it stops.
Yeah.
And
I
then maybe
definitely
they
think that's
open
gonna
it
help
into
some
free
more.
roam.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's going to be a couple story missions, or at least a quest or whatever it is. I hope they're more like quests instead of just missions that you
Right.
go and do do these things. We haven't seen how one plays out, so I'm hoping that they put maybe a main quest in it, and then maybe a couple of side activities to do,
Yeah,
just to give you an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm hoping that they do with this. Unlike Destiny, where there are specific story missions that you have to load individually, I just want everything to happen in the same world.
Hmm.
Where you're just in this world and you can go initiate a quest or initiate a mission
Yeah,
if you want to, but you don't have to reload into it.
right. I think that's how
That's
it's going to be. I mean, it's open
yeah,
world, so
it makes sense, and I hope I wish that's one of the only big issues that I have with Destiny is that you have to launch missions individually.
it's very disconnecting from it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
breaks the immersion a lot. So
yeah. The amount of times you have to jump back to orbit and then reload, and it's like there's probably a technical reason for it. I don't make games. I don't understand how all that stuff works, but it is strange to me.
yeah,
But yeah, if I think there'll probably just be a few points and just go and initiate this quest, initiate this thing. There's probably going to be, they'll probably stick you in a walled off area. You probably won't be able to go through the whole map.
hmm
Kind of like what our other question was asking. But
which I'm okay with. I don't want
yeah,
to see the whole world. I don't want to see
right.
all the missions.
That's the thing. I don't want this to be like a typical modern movie trailer. I don't want to see the whole thing before I see it.
Right,
So
definitely. Number 5. What new feature would you like to see them showcase? Base of operations. Well, it's not
yes.
really a new feature, but I'd like to see more of what the base of operations can do.
Yeah, I want to see what it looks like. I would also like to see. I would like to see some actual co-op PVE stuff because we haven't really seen that. We've seen a lot of co-op Dark Zone stuff.
Right.
I want to see. What it works. I want to see what happens outside of the Dark Zone because we haven't really seen much of that.
Yeah.
So,
That, and I would like to see what kind of clan integration they have, clan system.
yep.
So that would be I guess that would technically be considered a new feature.
Yeah.
So that would be one thing I like. But the base of operation I'm extremely interested in what that does in the world.
Yep. I actually I really hope, or I at least wish that they would open up the clan stuff before the game launches and let people start building their teams
Mm-hmm.
and kind
whatever
of
their web-based system is.
yeah. That would be nice, so we could start kind of having everybody ready to go before it launches and kind of do a little bit of advanced team building. So
Yeah. Number 6. How should weapons, gear, and drops be handled? Again, we keep bringing up Destiny, but I think it's going to be very, very similar to that.
yeah,
You're going to have, 2 to 3 assault rifles, one or 2 to 3 of every weapon archetype, possibly, unless it's, I don't know if they're going to qualify some weapons as more rare than others.
well,
So,
I don't think they should. I don't think there should be anything that's legendary. I think it should be commons, uncommons, and maybe some rares.
yeah, definitely.
And nothing above that. And I would really like to see, those things that you get not exist in the game. Like they just get completely changed.
Yeah, just
You
some like
know that
test guns or whatever. Test gun A, test gun B.
yeah.
That would be an interesting thing to do with it. I've never seen someone who has done that, but because you could grab the gun, use it in the beta, and then you're like, "Oh, I like this gun," and you want to play it in the main game, but then it's not there. But on the flip side of that, they could change that gun, so
Mhm.
it might not be the kind of gun you want it to be.
Yeah, and I know we keep going back to it, but Destiny did that a little bit, right? Like those the everything got retuned and rebalanced and reworked
Right.
between the beta and the actual launch. So, and I mean that's another thing that they're going to be testing too is, all the weapon balancing and tuning and everything.
Yeah.
So,
I want them to put just enough to give you an idea, let you maybe see some other things, keep them locked,
yeah.
If you go
I
to a vendor and you can see this legendary, ACR has a
yeah.
buttload of mod slots and you can see some of the mod slots, but you can't buy them. You can
Yeah.
only look at
Now,
them and drool.
they yeah. They do need to be strong enough, or at least the enemies need to be weak enough that you don't feel underpowered.
Mhm.
Because that would be, I think, a bad thing going into the beta, and you just feel like, how at the beginning of RPGs you really feel like you're struggling
Yeah,
first few hours. I don't want to feel like that. Like I want to go in and feel like a badass that
right.
they want to keep. They need to give you that kind of false sense of power right away.
Yeah,
And then when you get the actual game, you have to start off and you have to build up to that.
yeah. That would
So
be a better way of going about it, I think.
yeah,
Well, I don't know, because you could play it and you could be doing really well. Say you're not the average gamer like me and you, it's someone who's just trying out for the first time. They go in, they kill all these people. Oh, this isn't that hard. And then they
mhm.
buy the main game, and then they get their butts handed to them the first two
Yeah,
seconds they step out into the world.
yeah, that's true.
But they could just, it could be scaled. You could do,
Yeah,
it depends on what the power level differences are and the damage output. Because in a typical RPG, like when I played Dragon Age, is a good example. One of the worlds was really odd. Like one of the new explorable areas, they threw it in really early when you're like level 6, and it's like a level 12 area. And you
mm,
go in there, and you're like, oh, well, they gave me this place. You're walking through the swamp or whatever, and these skeletons are crawling out of the water, and they're level 12s, and they hit you with an axe once, and half your health is gone. You're like, what the F? I can't do this. You
yeah,
start running, and I try to bunny hop through the whole place to get to the next place, and I'm like, please don't hurt me. um, but I was level 6. I could kill them, but I just couldn't, take as many hits. So
I do kind of like doing that in RPGs. I like going into a high level area, super underleveled,
yeah,
and
and just start looking
really,
for things, start opening
yep.
boxes and stuff. What's in
I did
here?
well. I go and find super powerful enemies and try to kill them. I did that on the Destiny beta. I would go and search out that Devil Walker
Oh
and
yeah,
kill it by myself. Just to see if I got a ton of XP.
right.
You
And
know,
you don't.
none you do not know. Normally you would, but not in Destiny.
Right.
So
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I did that one time in Dragon Age. I was walking through this cove, and I looked across the cove, and there was this dragon fighting this giant. I was like, "What the crap? This is awesome!" And the dragon almost killed the giant, and I went over there with my crew, and we killed him, and I got like this really sweet helmet. So I hope
yeah,
this is kind of off topic, but I hope that the harder the enemies are to kill in the game, the better loot you get. So
I really think that should happen. Yeah, I mean, uh, that really bothers me in RPGs when that happens. The higher level, and the level difference too. If you're a super low level and you kill a super high level, you should get better stuff for that.
exactly. Yep.
It should take that stuff into account. I don't know if you can program stuff that way. I have no idea, but because I would do that in Skyrim all the time too. I
Hmm.
would I would try to fight. I would punch above my weight class,
Yeah. Oh, it's
and
it's fun and it's challenging and it
yep.
makes things interesting. So number 7, when when will the beta date be announced? When do you think it will start, and how long do you think it will go? What do you think?
I mean, they'll probably announce the beta maybe a week or two before it's coming out. I would
Yeah.
imagine, just to get people ready for it, to let them clear the time. Just like, hey, I'm going to take this whole weekend. I'm going to do this beta, and that I think it's going to probably start on a Friday and go to probably Sunday,
Hmm.
and then I wouldn't be surprised if they don't extend it for a couple of days.
That's kind of been the typical thing people have been doing with betas nowadays. That's the way the
Yep.
Call of Duty Black Ops beta was.
Yep.
I think that's how the Destiny beta was.
Yeah,
I
they
think, yeah,
Destiny did that where it happened over a weekend, and then they extended it for another day or two possibly, and they kind of took, I don't know exactly what they did, but it's like they took the safety off. They're like,
right,
we're gonna push this as hard as we can and just see what happens. So, understand that you might jump in and you might get booted or it might break or something, but we're gonna push this to its limits, just for this last extra day.
right.
So
Here's my theory on when it's going to be announced, or when it's going to start and when it's going to be announced, which kind of plays into it. This is based off of a virus that happens on Black Friday. And they say that your agent, you don't take control of the game as your agent until like 20, 22 days later. So I'm going to say they're going to announce the beta first week of December. The beta is going to happen in the second week of December, whatever Friday that is, right before Christmas. That is my official prediction. If you want to bet on it, go ahead and do it. But that's how long I think it's going to say. Like you, it's either going to start on Friday or it's going to start on Thursday, and it's going to last till Sunday, and then they're going to extend it to Monday.
yeah,
And that's what's going to happen.
yeah.
That's my prediction. Number 8. What do you think Massive is looking for from the beta, and how much do you think they would change for the final version? Kind of plays into the first question, is what they should accomplish. I think they're going to look at weapon balance, what weapons are used the most, dark zone balance, how much time people are spending in the dark zone, how hard it is in the dark zone, how players interact with each other. They're going to look at everything. They're going to see what you're doing, where you're spending the most time, what guns you're using the most, and they're going to make adjustments based on that. And I think it's going to look the same. I think this game at the beta point is going to look pretty much as good as it's going to look in the final game. Maybe they have some things turned off for it, maybe not. But I think it would be fair to expect it to look the same. I haven't played many betas that they didn't look as good as the final game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as far as all their, the art and the graphics and everything, it's probably there. The changes I would imagine would be in, combat tuning, weapon balancing, weapon tuning, enemy tuning, just little tweaks, a slider slid here and there,
Right.
and then, yeah, I mean that's pretty much just putting that little last polish on it before it comes out.
Yep. And number 9.
Maybe. Yep.
What you want to add to
Oh
it?
no, I was just gonna say probably maybe changing up some skills. Depending on how they see people use
Skill
them.
balancing. Yeah.
People are gonna jump in and use skills and use weapons in ways that they never expected.
Right. Like you said,
It
they're going to
always
learn
happens.
more from one day of the beta than the whole time they've been developing it. So
Yep.
they're going to have a lot of stuff to do in between the beta and the full game. And that's why it's, coming so early. Number 9. Do you think this is technically a final build of the game? Kind of plays into that last question. Yes and no, kind of. Like, yes, it's the final build, as in, that's probably what it's going to look like. That's how it's going to control. That's how it's going to feel. No, I think the weapons are going to change. I think the skill or abilities balancing is going to change. Some of the interactions, basic things like that.
Yeah, I mean it's the framework and everything is there. It's basically it's going to be real similar, but yeah, there's going to be things that they're going to have to tune. I mean, it's a long time between December and March.
Yeah.
So they're gonna it's going to be really close, but yeah, it's already changed so much. I mean, it's changed so much since you played it at E3.
Mm-hmm.
So they may take some stuff out, they may add some stuff in that they were thinking about. I think it's going to be really close to a final build.
Yeah. I would expect it to be close. So.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of interesting things. That's kind of our predictions, our thoughts for the beta. Not a whole lot to go on, but I think it's going to be fun. I think you should play it. Before we transition into our gun review, though, I want everyone to know, probably should have thrown this in as announcements. I might do this as the pre-recording, but we're going to do a beta giveaway. So look out for it. We're going to tweet it out, but I think I'm going to release it in the next podcast, and I'm going to do it letters by letters through the whole podcast. So I'm going to force everyone to listen to the podcast just to get a couple beta. I might do a couple beta codes. We'll see. But yeah, just wanted to let everybody know that. I'm going to do another, like I said, the intro so everyone can hear it. Anyways, you know what time it is? It's time for the gun review. Doom, what do we have to talk about this week?
Oh, this week we got the big one. The most widely used assault rifle in the world, the AK47 Kalashnikov.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's it's been around a little bit, but it's not that well known.
No. It's not like if you've ever played a war video game in the past 3 years, if you haven't used this gun, you're playing the wrong games. Basically, that's all there is to it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's been in every game as far back as I can remember. I mean, it's the go-to workhorse assault rifle. But it's the AK-47 is also known as the Kalashnikov AK, or in the Russian slang, the Kalash. So it's select fire, semi-automatic and automatic, gas-operated 7.62 by 39 millimeter assault rifle developed in the Soviet Union by Mikhail Kalashnikov. It is officially known in the Soviet documentation as the Automat Kalashnikova.
It's pretty sweet. Like, it's the most iconic gun ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even after 6 decades, the model and its variants remain the most popular and widely used assault rifles in the world because of their substantial reliability under harsh conditions, low production costs compared to contemporary Western weapons, availability in virtually every geographic region, and the ease of use. Yeah, the AK-47 has been manufactured in many countries and has seen service with armed forces as well as irregular forces worldwide, and was the basis for developing many other types of individual crew-served firearms. So when I say armed forces and irregular forces, do you know what irregular forces means?
Rebels, Al-Qaeda, terrorists, ISIS.
Guerrilla fighters, yeah.
Everybody and their brother has an AK-47 pretty much. And what's interesting, when you said like substantial reliability under harsh conditions, what else did it say? Most popular. It's like ease of use and stuff. Yeah. I watched this documentary and they talked about the AK, and they said like this gun will fire no matter what you do to it, basically. Like they drove over it with a truck, beat the barrel straight, and it still fired. It's like it's got slop in the barrel or something. It can still shoot. They said that they were training, they could train people to clean this gun, and the way they would clean it is they take shoestrings, tie knots in it, dip it in motor oil, and yank it through the barrel, and they'd start shooting. And like this gun, like you couldn't stop this. You can't stop this gun.
Yeah, it's not going to be terribly accurate. You're not going to snipe with it, but it will fire. You can put rounds downrange with it.
Yeah.
And that's what matters with this gun. So as of 2004, out of the estimated 500 million firearms worldwide, approximately 100 million belong to the Kalashnikov family, 3/4 of which are AK-47s.
Good night. I think when I watched this documentary, it was like 10 years ago, if not more, and they said that there was approximately 50 million AK-47s that they knew of. I was like, oh,
yeah,
50 million?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They're everywhere. I mean,
some countries have them on their flags, their national flags.
Yep.
I mean, that's how iconic this weapon is.
Some of those countries were made with AK-47s.
Yeah, it's insane.
So throughout World War II, Soviet soldiers found themselves consistently outgunned by heavily armed German troops, especially those armed with the Sturmgewehr, or I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Sturmgewehr.
There you go, Sturmgewehr.
STG-44.
The STG-44 assault rifles, which the Germans fielded in large numbers. The Select Fire STG-44 was chambered for a new intermediate cartridge, the 7.92 by 33 millimeter, and the combined firepower of a submachine gun and the range and accuracy of a rifle.
Wasn't that basically the first assault rifle ever produced?
That is a good question. I can't say 100% yes. It's got to be the first one that was in that wide of usage, though.
I think I watched another I watched a lot of gun documentaries back in the day, but I think the STG-44 was was like the first concept of an assault rifle. Like it was a submachine gun, but it was a rifle round. So,
man, those Germans and their engineering, man.
Yeah, German engineering.
Yeah, I mean it's really the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So the AK-47 is best described as a hybrid of previous rifle technology innovations. Kalashnikov decided to design an automatic rifle combining the best features of the American M1 and the German STG-44. So that's, he kind of saw what was going on, and he's like, I'm going to take both of these and turn them into this.
Best of both worlds.
Pretty much, yeah. So the AK-47 was designed to be simple, reliable automatic rifle that could be manufactured quickly, cheaply, use mass production methods that were state-of-the-art in the Soviet Union during the late 1940s. So they could just crank them out quick, and they were big on their mass production. So,
right.
Yeah.
The more guns you can make, the more bullets you can put down range, basically.
Yeah. So the AK-47 uses a long stroke gas system that is generally associated with great reliability in adverse conditions. The long gas piston, generous clearances between moving parts, and tapered cartridge case design allow the gun to endure large amounts of foreign matter and fouling without failing to cycle. Mm-hmm. The reliability comes at the expense of accuracy, as the looser tolerances do not allow for precision and consistency.
Yeah, that's what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so there's a lot of extra space in there for stuff to just get in there, and it'll just cycle.
Right.
So,
it's crazy.
And that's the reason guns like the M16 and the M4 and, MP5 and stuff like that are so accurate, because everything is so tight.
Right.
Everything's so precise.
And so when other stuff gets in there, it doesn't have time to shoot. Or space to shoot, that is.
Yeah, you get a little bit of carbon, in the bolt, little bit of extra stuff in there, and they just jam up.
Right.
But when it's clean, you can drive nails with them.
Yeah.
But, the AK, I mean, you don't want to be, if you're out in some of the conditions that these guys were in when they first fielded this, you didn't want to be thinking about whether or not your gun was going to fire.
Yeah, they just want to throw bullets. They don't care where they're going.
Yeah, pretty much. So the AK has excellent penetration when shooting through heavy foliage, walls, or a common vehicle's metal body, and into an opponent attempting to use things as cover. So, yeah, it's... I
wonder if we're going to be able to shoot through a lot of things in this game, or if it's just going to be like boxes and cardboard.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know we can shoot through cardboard boxes. But
you would think that with that kind of realism that we're going to be able to shoot through things, so it would make sense.
I hope so.
Yeah, you use an AK, you're going to be able to shoot through the wall a lot easier than if you use an MP5 or an M16, because they have smaller bullets.
Yeah. So the 7.62 by 33 millimeter projectile does not generally fragment when striking an opponent, and has an unusual tendency to remain intact even after making contact with bone. Yeah. So the 7.62 round produces a significant wounding in cases where the bullet tumbles or yaws in tissue, but produces relatively minor wounds in cases where the bullet X's before beginning to yaw. In absences of the yaw, the M43 or the 7.62 round can pencil through tissue with relatively little injury, which is exactly what I just said, and I repeated myself, but...
Everyone needs to know that, so we say it twice. But that's interesting, because I've heard about the 5.56 round doing that more than the 7.62. Like, people will shoot people with the 5.56, and they'll find fragments of the bullet. If they hit them in the chest, they'll find fragments of the bullet in their legs and all over the place. I didn't know the 7.62 did that. Yeah, it's saying that it doesn't
it doesn't tend to do that. It tends to remain intact.
Okay.
Yeah, so the 7.62 or the 5.56 will kind of frag a little bit more. And if I remember right, it has a tendency to sometimes tumble a little bit.
Yeah.
But after time they're gonna turn a little bit. That again, like I said a few episodes ago, I am not a technical expert when it comes to guns. I know how to use them, I know how to shoot them, I know how to, all that stuff. So, if I say something that's technically incorrect, don't beat me up too much for it.
Just send him emails. He'll fix it. He'll tweet it out.
No. Well, I will. I'll make corrections.
Yeah.
Just be nice about it, please. No,
We're sensitive on this show. Please don't hurt our feelings.
Man, I have feelings and post traumatic stress.
No. You have a feeling, and you don't need to get on that last feeling.
Yes, good point. So the AK-47 was designed to be a cheap, simple, easy to manufacture assault rifle, perfectly matching the Soviet military drop.
Spit it out.
Two.
You'll get it
yeah,
right.
Take two.
Here we go.
And action. Perfectly matching the Soviet military doctrine that treats equipment and weapons as disposable items.
There you go. You made it.
Yeah. as units are often deployed without adequate logistical support and are dependent on battlefield cannibalization for supply, it's actually more cost effective to replace rather than repair weapons.
Huh.
So
that's weird.
Throw it down, grab another one.
Yeah.
There's plenty of them to go around.
Yeah, apparently.
So a redesigned version designated the AKM, M for modernized or upgraded, was introduced in 1959. This new model used a stamped sheet metal receiver and featured a slanted muzzle brake on the end of the barrel to compensate for muzzle rise under recoil. It was also roughly 1/3 lighter than the previous model. So that's what I'm going to talk about here next. So both licensed and unlicensed productions of the Kalashnikov weapons were abroad were almost exclusively of the AKM variant, partially due to the much easier production of the stamped receiver. This model is most commonly encountered, having been produced in much greater quantities. All rifles based on the Kalashnikov design are frequently referred to AK-47s in the West, although this is only correct when applied to rifles based on the original three receiver types. In most former Eastern Bloc countries, the weapon is simply known as a Kalashnikov or an AK.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, so most of the time when you're seeing an AK, what you think is an AK-47, it's actually an AKM.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's just kind of, we just call them AK-47s over here because they all kind of look the same,
right.
But the manufacturing's a little different.
It's interesting how many archetypes of this weapon are out there right now. Like you said, there's AK-74, AK-47, AK-12. There's all these different AKs, but they're basing it off of that original platform of the AK-47. It kind of holds its usefulness. You kind of see why people use it, because it is so reliable. It works. It may not be the most accurate, but it shoots.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Amen.
So in 1974, the Soviets began replacing their AK-47 and AKM rifles with the newer design, the AK-74, which uses a 5.45 by 39 millimeter ammunition. The new rifle and cartridge had only started to be manufactured in Eastern European nations when the Soviet Union collapsed, drastically slowing the production of the AK-74 and other weapons of the former Soviet bloc.
I bet that round's really hard to come by.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
I didn't even know that existed.
I knew about AK-74s, but I didn't know that it had that unique round.
Right. I thought they just shot 7.62, just like the 47.
Yeah, it's weird. I learned something new whenever I do this. Now that last little bit of information, the 1959 and 1974, a listener actually he said, man, I wanna make sure I'm gonna be listening for that.
Yeah.
So we do have some weapons experts or big weapons fans that listen. So I try to get it right. I really want to get it right.
And the AK-47 was designed in 1947, right? That's what the 47 is for, isn't it?
I think that's when it was actually fielded, if I
Mm-hmm.
remember right. This weapon review was originally
Much
much.
longer.
It was yeah. I go a little nuts whenever yeah. So it was design work began on the AK-47 in the last year of World War II, and in 46 it was presented for official military trials.
Right.
Yeah,
We
so
should do a dedicated podcast to weapons once the game comes out because we're not going to have near enough time to go over everything because we're going to talk about the guns in the game really and how they work and how we use them and things like that. And it's going to, I mean, we could throw in some real life things too as well, but we're not
yeah.
going to have time to do everything that we need to really get all of the history out of this. So we could, I think it'd be fun to do a dedicated podcast for weapons because then we could talk more about them, and not
Yeah,
just have it as
it,
a condensed version.
yeah, it would be cool to do some little bonus episodes and stuff like that. I would because I really do enjoy all the history and everything of it, and yeah, some little bonus stuff would be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, that is going to do it for episode 9 of Rogue Agent Radio. We want to remind everyone to check us out on RogueAgentRadio.com to find all of our links, whether it's YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, or Twitter. You can be sure to find it all there. Be sure to also check us out, all of us here, hosts and agents and whatever you want to call us, on Twitter. The absent Dave is Dave at Deep Fried Dave. Doom is at Blessed Doom with an underscore. And yours truly is at Boomslang with an underscore. Thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time, maintain radio silence and watch your corners, agents.
Rogue protocol initiated.